Okay, so in the previous session, we have discussed about what is the importance of the website, and today's session we are going to discuss about website architecture. Means whenever we are talking about the full stack development is not just about the HTML, JavaScript. Full stack development means you have to know about the front end development. You have to know about the backend development, and you have to know about the middleware development. Basically, in software development, these are the three very important area. First one is the front end, second one is the back end, and third one is the middleware. And if you, I think you guys already heard about something, na? Two-tier architecture, three-tier architecture. Have you guys heard about this word previously?
No, sir. Can you explain it?
Okay, so in software development, na, this word is very common. It means when you are going to develop a application, then maybe sometime people can ask you the question, what is the architecture you are using? This is a two-tier architecture, or this is a three-tier architecture, or this is a n-tier architecture. See, what is the architecture of the application? So, in today's session, we are going to discuss about what is this architecture, and second thing is for the full stack development, when we are talking about the front end, back end, middleware, then what is the purpose of this? So, when we are talking about the website architecture, so normally there are majorly three part we have for any application development. First part is the part which you and me are able to see. First part is that part which you and me are able to see. Means when you have developed any application, so how user, what is the experience of the user, what you are able to show to the user. We have the map, we have the petrol pump location. So that part is basically comes under the presentation part, or that part we can say this is comes under the application part. Now after that, second thing is what the data we are showing on the application. What the data we are showing in the application. Maybe sometime this data we have in the database. Maybe sometime that data we don't have in the database. So if we have data in the database, so we are showing that data on the map from the database. And if we don't have data in the database, so maybe we are keeping the data in application. So basically, this is the second important part of any web application. Third thing is the business layer or business part. What is the business part? Business part is normally what is this? Let's suppose you clicked on one parcel. Let's suppose you have clicked on one parcel or building boundary, and based on your click, means in which parcel you have clicked, I want to show you some information, like what is the rate of the plot, who is the owner of the plot. So that kind of business related thing we are getting from where? We are getting from the business layer. That is basically in the architecture. In architecture, as I told you, there are three important phases are there. Like one is the presentation or client layer, second one is the business layer, and third one is the data layer. Presentation layer is what? Presentation layer is basically what the application end user is able to see. That is called the presentation layer. So, abhi someone will ask you कि in the presentation layer what you are using. So you what you need to tell कि in the presentation layer we are using HTML, JavaScript, jQuery for the map related thing need to show. So for the map related thing we are using the leaflet or we are using the open layer. So that these all things is the part of what? These all things is the part of the presentation layer or client layer. After that, from where this petrol pump data is coming? There is a maybe you have developed one application which is going to show the location of the petrol pump. So, where this petrol pump data is coming? So, that time we will tell that this data is coming from the database. That database is maybe Oracle, maybe SQL Server, maybe Postgres, maybe some different database. But this data is coming from where? This data is coming from the database. Third thing is when you click on any petrol pump, how you are showing some analysis. How you are showing some analysis or how you are showing some result. So that is basically is the part of what? That is the part of the business layer. Understood till this point? What are the three layers and what is the use of these layers? Understood,
Yes,
guys?
sir.
Okay,
Yes,
good.
sir.
Yes, sir.
So when we are going inside of all these layers, so like presentation layer, also known as a client layer, this is the topmost layer of the application. Means because this layer is directly going to interact with the client. This layer is directly going to interact with the end user. End users are not going to interact with the database. End users are going to interact with the front end or the presentation layer. This is the layer which we will see when we will use the software. So if any user, any client will use the software, so whatever the things we are able to see, that is comes under the presentation layer. By using the layer, we can use application UI. This may be Windows or web. So as you know, whenever we are using any application, if this is a web application, then the UI will be coming from the website. And if this is a Windows application, then it is basically coming from the window. Like when you are using the Microsoft Excel, when you are using the Microsoft Word. So whatever the look and feel you are able to see, that is because we have installed the software in our machine. And when you click on the Google Earth engine, or when you click on the Google Earth software, or when you click on the Google Map, so basically that is the UI from the web. The main functionality of the layer is communicate with application layer or business layer. Normally, what is the functionality of the presentation layer? कि let's suppose you have one login page. Okay, you got one login page. Login page you are able to see. It means this is what? This is the presentation layer. Now, when you have given the ID and password, now once you have given ID and password and click on login, at that time, when you click on the button, this information, ID and password, is sending to the business layer. This ID and password is sending to the business layer. Then business layer will do some operation with the help of the database, and it will return to the presentation layer कि yes, this user is a valid user or this user is a not the valid user. Because as you know, database is the place where we can store the data. That's all. There is nothing. The role of the database is what? The role of the database is only store the data. Now you want to check what the data you have. You want to find out ki Yogesh user is exist or not. You want to find out Yogesh, what is the ID and password of the Yogesh. So for all these things, to check all these things or to write the code to find out all these things, this is the role of what? This is the role of the business layer. So when we are talking about the presentation layer, whatever the things you are able to see, that is the presentation layer. When you click on the button, when you click on the icon, when you are doing any operation, so presentation layer will interact with the business layer. Then business layer will interact with the database layer. Whatever the result a business layer will get, that result will return to the presentation layer, and based on that we are able to see the result. Let's suppose, for example, you have given the ID and password Yogesh 123, and when you click on the button, now presentation layer will interact with the business layer. It will tell to the business layer, "Okay, this is the user and password, user ID and password. Can you please check and let me know this user ID and password is correct or not?" So business layer will check in the database if this is ID and password is correct or not. If this is a correct or incorrect, it will return that result to the presentation layer, and based on that presentation layer will display the information. This layer pass the information which user will provide. Example like Gmail or any other input page. After that, we have the application layer or business layer. What is the role of the business layer? It also known as a business layer or logical layer. Why? Because all the algorithm, all the business logic we are writing where? We are writing in the business layer. As I already given you the example, when you will provide ID and password, business presentation layer will interact with the business layer. कि भाई this ID and password user has given, can you please check? So our code will check in the database this ID and password is correct or not, and based on that we will able to go inside or outside. It makes communication faster and easier between the client and data layer. Now after that we have third one is what? Third is the data layer. Data is stored in the database layer that you guys already know. Now after that application layer is interact with the data layer to get the database data based on the logic, as I already explained you. The application is interact with which layer? Application is interact with the data layer and get the information sent to the presentation layer. Because of that reason, because of that reason, application layer is called the middleware, Application layer is called the logical layer. Application layer is called the business layer. Now after that, it contains method to connect the database and require the operation. If I will presentation layer will send the ID and password, so definitely data layer we need to check with the data layer. So business layer will check with the data layer कि this ID and password is correct or not. Based on that, it will take the decision. All application important logic developers will put here only. So normally we are writing all the logic in the business layer, and from the business layer we are getting the data from the data layer. Now after that, based on these three layers, presentation layer, business layer and data layer, we have some different architecture design. We have some different architecture design, like we have the one tier architecture, two tier architecture, three tier architecture and n tier architecture. So what is the purpose of or what is the meaning of the one tier architecture? First thing is you have to understand what is the layers, what we already have discussed: presentation layer, business layer and data layer. Now I believe this is clear to everyone कि what is the business layer, what is the data layer and what is the presentation layer. Because this architecture design because this architecture design categorize based on the these three layers only. So now we will come to the one tier, two tier, three tier and n tier architecture. So if I will come to the one tier architecture, in one tier architecture, what is the meaning of the one tier architecture? In one tier architecture, we have the presentation layer, business layer, and data layer. All are on the same machine. Just try to understand. One tier architecture means everything will be on the one machine. Presentation layer, business layer, and data layer. What is the best example of this? We have MS Office, we have MP3 player, we have Microsoft Excel. How we can say this is a one tier architecture? So here, whenever you have installed the Microsoft Office in your machine, so you are not going to interact with any other machine. So whatever the document you are creating, that document you are keeping in your machine only. And whenever you want to create, update or delete anything, so you can directly delete from your machine. Because of that reason, here we have the data layer. Data layer is what? Here in this example, what is the data layer? Data layer is basically your document file. Data layer is your Microsoft Excel file. Or if you are running the MP3 player, so database is what? Database is the folder where you are keeping the music file or songs files. What is the presentation layer? Presentation layer is the MP3 player. Let's suppose you are using Windows Media Player or you are using the Winamp Media Player. So Winamp Media Player or VLC Media Player. The VLC is very common. Most of the people are using the VLC player. So VLC player look and feel is called what? Look and feel is called the presentation layer. Like here in my machine, if I will try to find the VLC media player. So if I click on the VLC media player, so this look and feel what you are able to see here, this is called what? This is called the presentation layer. What user is going to interact, you are going to select the file and all. Now after that, if I click on the open file, when I click on the open file, then I am going to select some music file or video file. That is basically what? This folder where we have kept the music file or video files, that is our database. Okay, data layer. Now after that, here whenever you will run the file, whenever you will play the file here, there are many options are there. You can play the songs randomly, you can play the song sequentially, you can play the song in different mode. There we have the classical mode, there we have the dance mode, there we have the multiple mode. These all modes and everything, this will comes under where? This will comes under the business layer. Why? Because we have written the code, we have done the development so that the user can set the operation based on his choice. Means you want to run 10 songs randomly. Then the logic, the program you have written where? You have written in the business layer. So if you have a presentation layer, business layer, and data layer, everything is on the same place. So that is called what? That is called the one tier architecture. Clear? Understood here? Now here, actually, there is a means as you guys already know, in computer science or in IT, every time because of some problem, new evolution will come or new things people will discover. So in the one tier architecture, what people have faced the issue कि we are facing scaling issue. We cannot scale all these things very frequently. Means if I want to put some new business logic, if I want to put some new business logic in the business layer, then if I have developed something, so I ask everyone to uninstall the application and install the application, then only it will reflect. If I want to add many videos and all, so when user will download the data, when user will get the information, then only user can use that video or audio file. So in one tier architecture, people have faced that kind of issue. Now after that, people come to the two tier architecture. When people will come to the two tier architecture, so in two tier architecture means there are two different machines we have. In one machine, we have kept presentation layer. In one machine we have kept the sorry. In one machine we have kept the presentation layer, and another machine, let's suppose we have kept the database. If I will take the very simple application or simple example, कि you have developed one application for the library management, or you have developed one application for the hospital management. So what you will do? You have you have here one machine where you have kept your presentation layer and business layer, and we have another machine where we have kept what? Where we have kept the database. So here one benefit directly you can see कि due to some reason, let's suppose some problem happened in this area, in the first machine. Due to some reason, if some problem happened in this machine, means your database you have kept in the Nagpur and you are using this machine in Hyderabad. In Hyderabad, if due to some reason some problem is there, so at least your database will be always what? Your database will be the safe. In this machine, in this machine, let's suppose yes, capacity is 20 GB, but your data exceeds, then anytime you can increase the capacity in this machine without disturbing the this, because the reason is this machine is separate and this machine is separate. So in this case, or in the two tier architecture, one machine we have the presentation and business, and in the another machine we have the database, or we have the business layer, maybe in the first machine, maybe in the second machine. But in this two-tier architecture, we are working with what? We are going to work with the two different machine. One machine is for the presentation layer and another machine is for the database and business layer. Clear? This is called what? This is called the two-tier architecture. Understood, guys?
Yes.
Now, after that, coming to the three-tier architecture. This is the most useful architecture because here the best thing is everything we are keeping in three different places. Everything we are keeping in three different machine so that all the data, all the things is not going to keep in one machine. So maybe some natural disaster or maybe some problem, if one place one thing disturb, so at least other two things is not going to disturb. So here we have three different machine. In one machine we have the presentation layer, second machine we have the business layer, and third machine we have the data layer. But one thing always remember, guys, what I am explaining you, one tier architecture, two tier architecture, three tier architecture, but always remember one thing, end user, end user or client is always going to interact with which layer?
Presentation layer.
Presentation layer. Okay, so
Presentation.
yes, so doesn't matter. We have the business layer in different place, data layer in different place. For the end user, this is nothing. End user is not able to get the information where you have the business layer, where you have the data layer. End user only knows one thing because he is going to interact with the presentation layer. But for the development point of view, for the architecture point of view, this three-tier architecture is the best architecture which people are using for any software development. Now, after that, when we will come to the GIS part. Now, after that, when we will come to the GIS part, because ultimately we are going to develop the GIS based application. And as you know, GIS data is not the lightweight data. Correct? GIS data is the heavy data. And because GIS data is the heavy data, sometime what happens? Sometime one machine or one data layer machine is not enough to keep all the data because sometime we are working with the vector data, sometime we are working with the raster data, and as you know, raster data, this raster data size is very very heavy. So maybe sometime what happened, one machine or one data layer machine is not enough. So what people are doing, people are creating multiple machines for the data. One machine people kept only vector data. One machine people kept only the raster data. So normally when we are talking about the enterprise level GIS application, enterprise level GIS application, then in that scenario, people are using multiple servers, multiple machines for the data, multiple machines for the business. So in that situation, this type of architecture is called what? This type of architecture is called the entire architecture. So now we have understood the one tier architecture, two tier architecture, three tier architecture, and n tier architecture. So normally when we are developing the application, then we are following the architecture of the three tier architecture. But when you are going to work with the enterprise level application, means for example, you are going to work with the property tax application for entire Hyderabad, then definitely all the data and business layer, everything will be very very heavy. So in that situation we are basically working with the entire architecture mode. So here in the one tier architecture, all in one UI, logic, data, everything is in the one place. In two tier architecture, there is a one presentation layer. There is two machine basically. One is the client, second one is the server. So maybe that business layer will be the part of the first machine, or maybe the business layer will be the part of the second machine. But in the two tier architecture, we will have two different machine, or we can say two different servers. So that is called a two tier architecture. When we will come to the three tier architecture, so we have three different server. One server is for the presentation layer, another server is for the data layer, and third server is for the business layer or logic layer. So in the three tier architecture, we are going to deal with the three different server. After that, we have the entire architecture. In entire architecture means we are going to work with the multiple servers. And because of the heavy data, we are using what? Entire architecture. So normally for the all the images, raster data, drone survey data, all these data we are keeping in one machine. All the digitized data means when we will create the point, line, polygon and all, so these data we will keep where? These data we will keep in the one machine. So ideally one machine, there is a for the data layer we have two machine. One machine is for the vector data, another machine is for the raster data. So like this it will we will work, and it will basically comes under the entire architecture. So here, the most important thing what I want to tell you, and even in from the first session I was telling, in the in this full stack development, okay, in full stack development, the most important thing what we have to keep in our mind, ki if I will give you one shape file, let's suppose I have given you one shape file, and I will tell you I want to see one application. Okay, I have given you one shape file, and I tell you ki I want to see the web application. Then you have to understand how this data layer, how this presentation layer, how this business layer is going to interact, because this interaction means this connection is very important. We should not like I know the HTML, so I cannot work in the database, and I don't know how this is connecting with each other. So in the full stack development, we have to understand one thing, ki how all these component like data layer, presentation layer, and business layer is going to connect with each other, so that we are able to develop a complete web GIS application. Okay, understood, guys? Understood, everyone, till this point?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, so actually, normally what happened initially, two session or three session, I am just going with the lightweight mode. Okay, so it's the small things